Speaking of the Champions League, we also had our first leg, I should say, of the round of 16 against Bayer 04 Leverkusen, which I had never seen the numerals inserted into the middle of their name before, and it looks like it's used sometimes, not all the time. What's going on with that?
So my guess on some of this is, so the club, this is part of my guess, this is the history. The club was founded as Bayer 04. It's founded by the workers of the Bayer company, which at the time, I believe they produced paints. But today is Bayer, a pharmaceutical and biomedical research company. So Bayer aspirin. That's them. And they are still a sponsor of the club. And I believe it was Bayer 04 because the workers founded the club in 1904.
Right.
I believe the Leverkusen name was added later as a city signifier. German clubs have a lot of interesting naming conventions. I don't feel like I see in France or Italy or Spain or England. So yeah, Bayer 04 Leverkusen.
This rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, I mean, Bayer Leverkusen is there, and of course we talked about them. I mean, they're generally one of the okay teams in Germany. They're kind of were famous for a long time as Bayer Leverkusen, as being a successful club that had never really come over the top and actually won anything or much of anything. And then, of course, they became, apparently the name is now Bayer Leverkusen. From the 2 seasons ago when they went invincible in the Bundesliga and basically went unbeaten in Germany. The only game they lost all season, I believe, was the final of, I think they were in the Europa League that year. So yes, they're not that team anymore. Old friend Granit Xhaka was prominently involved. Of course, we know he's now in Sunderland. They've sold a couple of other players. Their manager, Xabi Alonso, left for Real Madrid. He has since been fired by Real Madrid. So,
well, and on top of that, I mean, we have Nkapie currently with our club is on loan from them, which is an interesting situation. I was reading how in the Premier League, if you have a player on loan to you from another club, like what was his name on loan to us from? From Crystal Palace last season? Raheem Sterling. Right? Was that Chelsea or was it Chelsea or Crystal Palace?
Chelsea.
It was Chelsea.
I think
so. He was on loan to us. Like when we play Chelsea, he wouldn't. Probably would have preferred not to have him play anyway, but he wouldn't have been allowed to play in that match.
Right.
That's not the case in UEFA competition, and we did see Nkapie actually start in this match against Bayer Leverkusen. And then also our Kai Havertz apparently is a product of their youth academy, and he got his senior start there too before heading to Chelsea fairly recently. He spent a long time there, so very warm welcome it seemed.
Yeah, he got a nice round of applause when he came on the field. Again, there's always a love for your own guys, and he is, to a certain extent, he is one of theirs, obviously. And you saw, we'll talk about his goal later, but kind of the lack of reaction to what was a critical goal, but you saw kind of the more stoic response, which I think is reflective of it. Obviously, there's still a lot of warm feelings on both sides, which makes sense. I think that's. That seems to be the way that goes. And so, again, a good club typically produces good players. Had spent to mention their history not getting over the line, and they finally did in quite elaborate fashion a couple of years ago. Yeah. So a game, even though if you look at the draw for the Champions League, because we didn't get a chance to talk about this, if you look at the draw for the Champions League, about as good a matchup as we could have hoped for based on the possible teams we could have been playing. But still a team that caused us problems in this game, will probably cause us problems in the second leg. A team that's still very capable, even if they aren't their invincible form from a couple of years ago, is still capable of being a difficult out. There are no easy outs at this stage of the Champions League, at this stage of the season. There are no easy results. And so, this ends 1-1. I'm not going to say this is a great result for us, but I think we can feel, even if you're not thrilled with the performances, I think we'll kind of talk about, you can still walk away from here feeling like, okay, this is not a bad result for us. Maybe not good, but it's not bad.
Yeah, so it began with a bang, a yellow card given to Andrich, I think they were pronouncing it, the team's captain. yellow card in the first minute for basically like wrestling Victor Gyökeres down to the ground. It was unquestionably a yellow card. It was pretty egregious, and from that early on, like, whoa, okay.
I mean,
he wasn't done.
I'm just pleasantly surprised to see a foul called, in Gyökeres' favor. I thought that was not something we. Think about how many times we've seen this season. We talk about how beat up he's gotten. That was nice to see. And then it happened a couple of minutes later. It happened again.
Yeah, it was like a shoulder check. It was like a hockey move that you would see. I mean, in what world is that not a yellow card? I don't get that.
I mean, physical play like that can be given as a foul. I think this is one of those where, like, you will almost never, short of like truly egregious plays, see two yellows produced that close together that early in the game. I think the fact that it was, the 5th minute, I think that's honestly really what saved Andrich from going off. And you can say that's fair or unfair, but I think we kind of have to accept that as a reality of the circumstances. Like, that's just kind of how that's going to go. And it does feel a little bit like he gets a free hit, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and it's ultimately counter to the whole idea of a yellow card. Mm-hmm. The whole point is you're supposed to exercise caution when you've been cautioned, and he clearly wasn't. Like, I don't know why it doesn't rise to that level. Like, it's like, dude, we just told you cool it, and 4 minutes later, you're shoulder checking this guy to knock him over. What are you doing?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I heard this on the Arscast, and so I hope that's right. Apparently, he has a tattoo of a slide tackle. This is a guy who plays physical defense. Like, you're asking a bird not to fly, like, I think that's kind of, and again, the yellow isn't a warning insofar as, the yellow is that, hey, what you did was crossing the line. Now, obviously the lesson most players take from that is, okay, I got to be more careful. I didn't find it to be, like, when it happened, I didn't walk away from saying, why is he still on the field? But I certainly can see a lot of people feeling that way, and I'm not opposed to that. Obviously, as the game plays on, as we'll talk about, it became a little bit more frustrating because of circumstances. But yeah, overall, I guess I'd say I'm not surprised that didn't get called. That didn't get a yellow, given the circumstances.
I was surprised, but yeah, that's this is one of those things where I'm still kind of adjusting my own levels for things like that. So
I'm not saying in the moment I wasn't particularly bothered by it, but I think in the like as you think about it a little bit, like, okay, I can kind of, like, I get it. It is not the most egregious thing I've ever seen on the football pitch. It's not the most egregious thing that's involved Arsenal this week. Like, we can.
Yeah. I guess, I couldn't let it go. But yeah, I mean, so then Andrich, like, the whole first half goes scoreless, and then bang, they kick off in the second half, get a shot attempt off from the post kickoff play. And apparently I was reading, this is some kind of set piece that they do. And Arteta was talking in the locker room at halftime, telling them to expect them to do this. Yeah. And yet we just required. We were like, everybody except Raya wasn't ready. Raya made a heroic save, like pushing it up over the crossbar to save that. Amazing athletic save on his part for a shot that never should have happened. Exactly. Yeah. But then that led to a corner kick, and Andrich was there completely unmarked and headed it in. Turnabout is fair play. Yeah.
That's how it. Apparently, they showed right after it. The Leverkusen manager and Nico Jover were like, shook hands and kind of like, even Jover was like, "You got us. That was good."
Yeah, basically
frustrating, but as I said, the frustration is less the corner because it's a nice setup play, and as we talked about, corner goals that count. It was a good finish. I mean, maybe Andrich shouldn't have been on the field, but at that point, we're 40 minutes on from that potential second yellow. Right. Like we've kind of moved past that at this point. And so it really, to me, the egregious blunder in all of that was the poor defending that led to the shot, that led to the save, that led to the corner. Like that, to me, if I want to come back and criticize what happened, that's where my criticism is. I think they just ran a really good corner routine, and the ball got to where it needed to go, and he finished nicely. And tough, but that's how it goes. It's 1-0 to Bayer.
Yeah, exactly. And we just came out of the locker room like not with our heads in the game or something. I don't know what that was, but yeah. So then it was a little bit of a contentious back and forth throughout the second half. Nothing materializing for us. Getting some chances. Timber had a really close attempt, like he headed it and it just went over the crossbar. That was from a nice Martinelli cross. Some stuff happened. And then Madueke pushing into the box like he does so well. He managed to draw a penalty. Who was it that committed that penalty on him?
It was Malik Tillman, U.S. international Malik Tillman.
Yeah.
Well, first off, I do want to point out, so Madueke was a sub on for Saka, and at some level, that's a pretty brave substitution, right? I mean, Bukayo Saka's a Champions League player, and he wasn't particularly good in this game, and I don't know why, I don't know what's going on, everybody's tired, it's tough.
The left back was particularly effectively handling him, possibly,
but it's a bold move to pull Saka, and to his credit, and I know you're a bigger Madueke fan than I am. I'm lukewarm on him. He's been fine. I can see why he's generally considered the inferior player. But I tell you what, he was a spark plug on Wednesday. He made a big difference. Saka's play wasn't particularly good. Madueke comes on, makes a big difference in a lot of ways, and then ultimately gets to the penalty. Now, I know there was some dispute and stuff, and I'll be honest, I did not watch the second half live. I watched it a few days later, after having heard all of the conversation and discussion about it. I'm sorry, this is an easy call. Tillman goes to ground, he clips Madueke. Is it a lot of contact? No, it doesn't need to be a lot of contact. He leaves his feet, goes to ground. You're putting your fate in the referee's hands at that point. I don't want to hear about a soft penalty. He goes to ground, he makes contact with Madueke in the box. It causes him to go down and breaks up a goal-scoring opportunity. Honestly, he's mildly lucky they didn't get a card for that, or red for a dog. That's a penalty. I mean, that's an obvious penalty.
He not only kind of stepped on his foot a little bit, like the foot contact to Madueke's foot was a little minimal, but just watching it again, watching the replay now in slow motion, he ends up sitting on his foot while he's still in motion, driving forward. It was not overall trivial contact. So I don't see how you can argue that one.
And really, I think, especially going to VAR, I mean, there's some conversation if they had called it a penalty on the field, VAR wasn't going to overturn it. I think that's right, but I think that's too. If you look at that on the field, I could see in real time even the referee going, dive, get up. They do the finger gestures. Then you go to VAR and you see the contact, and maybe that changes the decision. Yeah, but I think that to me, once they called it on the field. Yeah, and then you see the replays. I'm sorry, there's contact. This is not. This is there are difficult decisions the referees make. This wasn't one of them. This was an easy call, and an interesting choice for Havertz to take it, I think.
Yeah, it was. I feel like at that moment, Gyökeres had been subbed off. Saka was subbed off. I mean, Havertz, he was playing as our striker at that point, basically. I think it makes sense. I think, and just for the moment for him to score against, in a pivotal moment to score against his childhood hometown club. I mean, overall, it made sense. I was a little nervous. I haven't really seen him shoot a lot of penalties for us, but no, he did great. It was exactly what you'd want. He did the little stutter step and then got it right into the corner. When I saw it transpire the first time through, I thought that the keeper got a fingertip to it, but when you see it on replay, I don't think he did. I think it went cleanly past him, but he guessed the right way though. Yeah,
it was, I guess, the right way, but that's a well-taken penalty. It's just out of the reach. You aim for the corners, and he went in and got it, and it kind of rescued a point for us. Let's be honest. That was a game where we didn't play particularly well overall, and we kind of rescued the result there. I don't think we would have been in huge trouble had it been down 1-0 coming home. But it's nice to be able to go in just knowing flat out, just win. We just win at home and we're moving on. That's it. There's no
by any margin. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about the margins. Yeah, we just win and we'll take it from there. So
No, exactly.
I mean, I guess it's kind of interesting to think about because we had the draw here. We were also the only English club that didn't lose our first leg. Now, again, here's quality of competition. What was it? Chelsea played Paris Saint-Germain. City played Real Madrid. Newcastle played Barcelona. We talked about Spurs getting outclassed by Atletico Madrid. But
yeah.
Spurs aren't very good. Who else was there? Who's the other one I'm missing? Chelsea and Liverpool. Liverpool lost to Galatasaray.
Interesting.
That's the second time in this campaign that's happened.
Wow. Well, they're not having a great season.
They are having a very interesting season. Is Liverpool?
Yeah.
I will say this though. Liverpool's coming home against Galatasaray. I think they'll go through. I think we'll go through. The only one of those that I think was a really truly shocking. Oh my goodness! I can't believe that result happened. Was City losing 3-0 to Madrid, and Valverde has huge. The hat trick.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Could City beat them back at the Etihad? Yeah. Are they going to beat them by 3? I don't know. That's a
4
lot.
Realistically, or 3 and then penalties. Yeah, it's
So I don't. Well, extra time. They do have extra time in this round.
They do have extra time. Okay, yeah.
And they got rid of the away goals rule because it used to be the away goals still counted. It was a weird thing. If you went to extra time in the second leg, the advantage heavily swung to the away team at that point. Because now any goal they score is essentially 2 goals.
Right.
So, yeah, that was one. Thank God they got rid of that. Actually, I think that nailed us. Was that Olympiacos, I think? Right before COVID, I think we got knocked out for that way. Anyway, it's...
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, English sides had a rough go of it in this first legs. And, I mean... There are a lot of things, I think, going on, a lot of potential reasons for what was happening.
Is it league-wide, not even club-wide, league-wide fixture congestion? It's not just us. Definitely City. Less Spurs.
Chelsea and Newcastle have had the same number because they were in the semifinals of the Carabao Cup too.
Right,
they've had the same number of games in that stretch we have.
But I
think
that could be a factor.
It's congestion, but it's not just that English clubs are playing a lot of games. France and Germany only have 18 teams. All of those continental leagues take a winter break, where England is cramming more games and they're playing fewer games.
Interesting.
So, and apparently even PSG had a case where they asked their game before. So the game against Chelsea was on Tuesday. That game from the weekend before, apparently they asked, I think it was not, to reschedule it. So they basically had the weekend off before that game, which is just wild. Why on earth? If you're Nantes, how is the answer not, no, suck it up and play a weak lineup against us? They're probably going to win anyway.
Yeah.
There are a lot of factors that go into it. I mean, I think that, but I it's hard to avoid that as a factor, given we also have, the entire league phase where 5 Premier League teams finished in the top 8, and the one that didn't, Newcastle, easily advanced to the playoff round anyway. So, I
guess it's before and after the winter break is really a clear difference there. That's interesting.
Yeah, so...
Hopefully that's something that can lead the FA or the Premier League, whichever, I don't know which officials would decide this, but some combination of both probably. But you would hope that maybe that's a convincing argument, seeing what happens after the winter break is over. Maybe that's enough to try and rethink the way things are scheduled. Maybe turn one of the tournaments, League Cup or FA Cup, turn those into summer tournaments or do something differently.
I mean, the League Cup is the one that would definitely be on the chopping block, and there are all sorts of historical reasons why Boxing Day is a thing. There are reasons why some of those games in the holiday period exist. But yeah, I mean, this is not a new thing. This isn't some great surprise. Oh wow, I didn't know England played all those games on the holidays. They do this every year, and I think unless you get real pushback from the big clubs, which I think from their competitiveness, like on some level, maybe City and Arsenal should treat the Carabao Cup as a youth tournament, even more so than they do. And yet we've seen Arteta and Guardiola and Chelsea does this too. How many of the big clubs walk into the League Cup and say, no, I want to win that too? They want to win them all.
Right. There's money on the line ultimately. I mean, like their incentive is to win everything they possibly can. And it's like, you don't know, especially because they aren't going on at the same time. You don't know, like, well, the FA Cup hasn't started yet. Who knows who we're going to draw and how we're going to do in the FA Cup. Maybe I can win the League Cup even if I don't advance far in that one or something. Like you want to get what you can when you can, probably.
Well, I mean, if you're a club like Arsenal, like being in the Champions League is where the real money is. Like you don't like the amount of money you get for advancing deep or winning the Carabao Cup is not. You're not worried about like keeping the lights turned on.
Okay, right. No, of course.
But I think it's more just sort of the ruthless competitiveness at that level, at that level of the league. Like, and Guardiola's especially like this. But I mean, Arsenal feels this. Arteta feels this way. Like Chelsea's had managers that feel this way. Like they want to win everything. It is unacceptable to give away potentially any possible result. Make of that what you will, but I think that's part of what's going on here. But it leads us into this position where you come into these games and look, we talk about the money and the gulf of quality between the Premier League and some of the other leagues in Europe, but look at some of the clubs we named that are up. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain. These clubs don't lack for financial resources.
No, they're not going hungry.
These are the clubs. These are not the clubs we're talking about when we talk about the massive financial disparities.
Right.
So, yeah, all of this is a really long-winded way of saying I'm not mad at a 1-1 draw. It's frustrating, and we weren't particularly good. Leverkusen played us almost like a Premier League team. This was a much more physical game, much more tightly controlled. They were a little more defensive. Like, this was not the kind of game we've come to expect in the Champions League, come to see. And I think, actually, yeah, their goal was the first time we had trailed the entire Champions League this year. As long as they get their heads right, come home, play a game at home in that atmosphere, win at home. That's all they have to do when they're on to the next round. And in this one especially, they don't ask how, they ask how many. You just win, baby, and we'll be fine. We'll be on to the next round.